I was randomly playing Victoria 2 when I realized something, that I never tried to get the highest score I possibly could have. That got me thinking about the limits of Victoria 2. To reach a high score, this run will have everything: monotony, RNG, game knowledge, skill over the course of 9 hours. So the country to pick is the one you see, the United Kingdom. For many reasons. They can start world conquest on day 1. The Brits have lots of technology already researched, with land on multiple continents. Their decisions grant -6 infamy +1 with Geneva Convention. The UK prestigious decisions if all added up to 107.5 prestige. And considering the game is named after their queen, prestigious events specific only to the UK. But frankly, the most important thing is having lots of naval ports. Naval ports and late game navy spam costs a lot, so good thing the UK is so rich, you can effectively ignore the budget all game. Now here are the rules. Get as many points as possible. By the end of 1936, do not have an infamy score above 25. One cannot use glitches, release nations, or save scum. All it is just pushing to get the most out of the mechanics. My reasoning for these rules is, it's a bit more grounded. If I had no limit on infamy, it would just be a map painting rush. With below 25 infamy, I would have to think, for example, how would I reduce the amount of infamy that is in my control? By picking a political party with jingoism to reduce the casus belli creation time. What region should I conquer? Well, not just any. Ideally, the province would have a port, large industry, large literate population, and in a good spot for later war. Not many regions check all these boxes, and the ones that do may be well into the late game. So again, I have to choose wisely what to do. For the opening move, I decide to attack Punjab and Myanmar. Punjab because it's a lot of population, and if I get a lot of infamy, I can always reset the run. Myanmar is to get a land bridge to China as I don't want to naval invade. These two wars are quite easy, as we have more numbers and miltex unlocked. Even fighting on mountain tiles, it felt like it was a 1-to-1 ratio of casualties. An easy war, but we can't chill. Timing does matter, as wartime infamy goes down by -0.3 instead of -0.10. We completed these wars, and now it's time for China. Early game is as strong as China will ever be. The difference in military tech between uncivilized and civilized are at the lowest. China and its puppet states has tons of units. Fighting China any time in the game is like fighting a beehive. Also, China, if it westernized day 1, would be the strongest military power, just to note. All this to say, this war will take all units I have in Asia to pull off.
Alright.
Warfare versus AI is easy. Get 30k men in a stack for a base unit. Have units back to back on the front line. When attacking, usher the rest forward, and reinforce as necessary. Damaged units can be cycled out, and on every month tick, they reinforce if there are supplies in their location. Land warfare research-based power spikes don't matter this run, because we are already the strongest nation on Earth. Fast forwarding, the war is heading to a close. As you can see, the Chinese practically feel like they have infinite divisions, but we are stronger and muscle our way through. We peace out for Guangxi's provinces, notably not Inner China. This is important for later war.
Ended already.
The year is 1855. It's time to research naval-based infrastructure. This is one of these 4 texts. Once completed, it allows you to upgrade your ports. Here's the issue. There's no quality of life here. I have to go to every single port manually to upgrade it, 4 times this run, and I'll be adding more coastal regions over time. Also, there's a backlog. Not all ports are up to date. Some will start with 0, so I have a lot of macro to do. Here is when the monotony really kicks in. The next research times for naval bases are 1875, 1895, and 1914. Research-wise, what we prioritize in order is research points, education, texts with population growth, naval-based infrastructure, industry, military. Retrospectively looking back, I probably should have researched prestige texts sooner, as you know, even more points. I also made sure to pick up Oman. Even though this country has a small amount of population, they have a lot of coastal provinces, 3 total ports to make, extremely useful. And for other countries trying to go around the world, Oman is a great intermediate territory between Europe and Asia, especially with the Suez Canal online. Oman has some coast in Africa, allowing for even quicker colonization land grabs in 1870. So much. Panning over to Asia. Honestly, my heart dropped when I saw Russia attack China. Usually, Russia leaves China alone, but I weakened China. In a sense, I brought this upon myself. And Russia already carved out 2 provinces off China already. The fact that Russia can do this meant they didn't get into a significant European war, which I desperately counted on. The Russians made peace, and now have a total of 6 provinces in China. This run's focus goes from Asia to Europe. We're still going to be talking about Asia. The Taiping Rebellion is the key to the 3rd largest power spike in this run. The idea is to declare war on China itself, lower their brigade count. Then the Chinese Civil War fires, let the Taiping win. Taiping at the start of the Civil War is small, so you're able to establish a protectorate on them for 10 infamy. Here's the thing, if the Taiping win the Civil War, they gain all of China. Once the Taiping peace out, the play is to swoop in and annex them through the protectorate CB, getting you all of China. Now this is time sensitive because you cannot establish a protectorate on Taiping that won the Civil War, it's too big. Due to me and Russia attacking China, the net amount of their brigades are smaller. Once the Civil War fires, it takes from the pool of pre-existing soldiers. Taiping has a small amount of soldiers, causing the civil war to be very slow. So still, the most points for infamy is still in Asia, so we take Yunnan, Qinghai, Guangxi, and Korea over time. These pops will be soldiers that we can use to either garrison Asia or ship over to Europe. There will be a lot of soldiers, which will be significant point-wise. Africa is colonizable by 1870. Here begins the mad dash, starting from our colonial ports. The way to think of Africa is that it's a freebie. You don't have to declare war over anything. Just colonize. If contested, just invest more colonial points in. Get more 3 colonial investments than the other country, and you get the region. Once you get colonized land, you can do everything except make a factory. You will get a lower percentage of effectiveness than a state, but hey, you get something. You also get prestige by upgrading the status of the colony. You would need 1% of bureaucrats to make it a state. Africa is like getting the canals of the world on steroids. To my surprise, Taiping pieced out of the Civil War, meaning I lost this opportunity. I annexed to Taiping as it's still 10 million pops for a protectorate CV, which is insane value, but compared to the ideal full annexation, it's losing about 15 million pops, I would say. After the last African crisis disputes with France was over, I got a bunch of colonial points back and it dawned on me. A mistake, or at least something to consider. Because of colonization, I never had enough points to make territories into states. With states, I can build in them, and I slow down this process. With statehood, I don't know all the information, but it has to be more efficient, just being more connected to my country more. In hindsight, maybe I should have just fought for the coastline and leave the inner continent away. I think I was just being cocky because I felt like I was making so much naval bases and ships that have so much colonial points I could just muscle through it. And because I had a min-max mentality, I just overplayed my hand. At least I did get all I wanted, as France backed down in every West African dispute. Now, the second largest power spike is coming, the Great War. This mechanic happens when 2 great wars are at war on both sides. Great wars tie in really well with the crisis feature, because great wars take sides in a dispute. If conditions are met, it will be immediately a great war. In a great war, we can take promises for a much cheaper cost and an infamy. Multiple crises happened past 1890, so on paper we have a lot of chances. One thing to note, this is slightly curtailed by the selection of great powers. Japan and US are far away and have navies that will destroy my fleet, so I won't bother with them. I'll just go after Europe. The most valuable provinces will have the most factories. Notably, the most industrious countries are Germany, France, and Russia. Now, in the late game, I ran into a little bit of a problem. I couldn't produce all the soldiers compared to the amount available in-game. I tried to. I queued up everything, but there just wasn't enough goods. This was a mistake on my part, because I didn't manage industry well. I just let capitalists do whatever. All I did was upgrade industry and subsidize it. Who knows, maybe I should have just lowered my tariffs to 0 to further help out my factories. All in all, this entire run, my professional army would number around mid-700. But I could have on paper built around 400 to 500 more troops. This added to the mill points by 300 to 400 or so. To forgive myself a little bit, part of the reason why it was an indefinite sit was because all those goods would go to the never-ending resource black hole of a navy. Throughout the campaign, Germany gave me an alliance offer to me like 10 times. They knew what I was planning. Yes, I was gunning for them. This time, however, it was not meant to be. I also didn't want to waste time, and I saw France was allied to Russia. Both countries have worthy industrial provinces to take, so I declared a war of humiliation on France. Russia joined, and it was a great war. Great. This war, like every war, is going to be easy. Our army eclipsed our opponents, and with minimal micro, we will just win. Single player Victoria 2 is honestly an easy game once you know what you're doing. I ended up piecing out of the war with a few of France's and Russia's most industrial provinces. This was a solid move. It was also nice to have a future foothold so I don't have to use the Netherlands as a staging point. Unfortunately, in Russia though, my lands are disconnected and far away. Now, for the largest power spike, Dreadnought spam. The creator of the most military points. The idea is to get the most naval ports upgraded as possible and spam them. When I first started this run, I thought you could spam Dreadnoughts from level 6 ports, right? But it's actually capped to 12, which I was surprised about. Still, 12 ports spamming Dreadnoughts for 22 years is a lot of points. Before 1914, we made battleships and that was significant as well. With the rest of our ports, we were building cruisers. In the 20th century, I still had time and infamy left. So in minor defeat, I did a state CB on Germany over Nordheim. It had the most industry. And with our staging grounds, we fought the Germans. Checking their troops, they have over 600 brigades. Nothing to seize at. I microed around, it wasn't that clean as Germany swarmed to my armies. But with enough stack clumping, it was mostly fun. Through enough won battles, I got enough war score to peace out. Thankfully too. If the war was in multiplayer, I would have lost. In hindsight, a balanced Great War with Germany would have needed me to grab units from Asia. Yet Asia was beginning to boil over with communist rebels. And meanwhile, at home, the Irish were also preparing to liberate themselves. So maybe a protracted Great War with Germany wouldn't have been as good as I thought. I sure played it safe this campaign. I must admit, the UK is equivalent to God mode in this game. After the German War, I decided to declare war on France for yet another region. It went by quick, meaning I could probably get another war in and still have less than 25 infamy by 1936. Irish nationalists rose up at the tail end of this war. If they siege down Ireland and hold it long enough, they will liberate their lands. Quickly I had to ferry units over to kill these patriots. If I don't want to lose a bunch of prestige, military and industry in these provinces, this run, everything counts, so I had to stop them. In the last years of the campaign, I declared on Italy for Campania. I grabbed all my units in Europe and carpet sieged them. It was a harder campaign than I thought. Italy just fought versus Austria-Hungary, and yet they still had some kick in them. I found myself having to split off units. A detachment in Rome got attacked. I couldn't natively reinforce or blockade them, as my navy was too weak. Trying to take northern Italy in one swoop was a tall order, but at least we had the numbers. And through enough capitulation and Pyrrhic victories, Italy peaced out. In the final year, I clicked eagerly through the events, made sure infamy was below 25, made sure I'm notorious for 100% soldier budget. I looked at my screen scorecard. I roughly counted somewhere near mid-30,000. Even now, every Dreadnought factory employment ticked the score higher every few seconds. I wondered what my final score would be.
Three short? Fuck!
As an epilogue, while I was doing kitchen work, I thought to myself, how could I improve past 34,997 points? The answer is, what if China? Because the game points only explode late game anyways. Naval spam, Great War, just snap it all then. And it also depends on how many ports China has. If it's somewhere around 12, maybe there's something there. In general, it's a larger accepted population base. Untouched Europe, by player intervention, increases the industry of great war power countries. I had a casual game as China once, with like 20k endpoints or so, and that wasn't me trying to min-max everything, so maybe that's worth a try. If I had to guess, the upper limit of this challenge is 45k. That is all I have to say. See you next time.